Hi guys! So after lots of people asked, thought I would show you how I draw fur. Now I know everybody draws fur or draws in different ways, and I really believe in everybody finding their own voice and their own way of drawing. But this is just my way of drawing. So this is a drawing I've been working on for some time. It is of three pine martens and a moth as well. We've got an elephant moth in it as well. So if you watch my last drawing, it starts off very much the same, but I start off by doing a sketch first. So this is a sketch of another drawing. I haven't got the sketch of this one handy. So I'd normally sketch something out. So if I'm doing it for a client, I'll do a few different sketch ideas and send it to them. Or sometimes I'll do a drawing like this and it'll get made up into a final drawing. So this is something I'm hoping to do as a final drawing. I'm not 100% sure. If you think I should, give me a shout. It's a gibbon riding a blue whale with a nightjar. But this is a drawing that I'm going to be doing tonight. So this is, some pine martens. Pine martens are super endangered in this country, and this is a piece all about kind of endangered British species. So I've sketched out the drawing really lightly firstly, and then like when we're shading the ball, I've shaded in really, really gently with pencils. So the equipment I'm using today is very much similar. So we're using pencils of different grades. So we've got a few different ones here. We've got some Tortillons as well to do the blending underneath. So we've got some big ones and some little ones. So big ones when you need big smooth shading, or little ones when you're doing kind of little bits of shading and working into it as well. I have handily a bit of fur reference here. So this is just to look at and get a bit of reference. And a pencil sharpener, always a brass one. And these are absolutely fantastic. These are rubber pens, which are brilliant for kind of getting into details. This one's running out a little bit here as well. And normally I would put a sheet of paper over so I don't smudge with my hand. But so you guys can see, I've got this really cool Michael Jackson style glove that I'm going to wear to stop myself from smudging the paper. So I just need to get my reference images up here. So I'm drawing from kind of maybe 5 different reference images for this pine marten. So I'll kind of look at the face of one and the position of another. And sometimes I'll get like a really blurred picture where the position's really good, but I can't see the fur. So I'll look at the fur in another one. And you'll see that the fur goes in lots of different directions. So hopefully you can see it on the camera, but I've kind of got little lines that show you the direction of the fur as well. Because around here, where it's a bit lighter, the fur kind of goes in different directions. So people tend to draw fur and they'll work in with a pencil and they'll kind of do like really sketchy lines and things like that. But fur's not really straight. On a pine marten, this is a pine marten's bum. It's a bit wavy and it goes in lots and lots of different directions, and it has sort of a white chest here. So I've used really, really light pencils to do the light chest, and then it's really darkly shadowed here and gets lighter as well. So I've shaded in really darkly here where it goes darker, and I'll do the same across the tail here. So there's sort of a darker bit, so I'll shade in here and blend it. And then when I'm doing the fur, so this I'm probably using a H here and maybe a B or a 2B here. So I'll get my, what have we got handy here? I seem to have lost my H pencil. Oh, here it is. So all we do is we start to sketch into it. I mean, it isn't a quick technique. I don't have a quick answer for how I'm doing this. I mean, you guys that are digital probably like, oh, I could do that in 5 minutes and Procreate, when I'm spending sort of hours on something. But it's just a case of working into it. So you can work really, really gently with a H or a 2H, and then you can go over afterwards and highlight or kind of darken little bits with a B or something heavier. But you start to sort of look at it, and after a while, it sort of happens. I don't know if this is making any sense to anybody, but it's lighter up here. So we're going to go with less pressure up here and draw shapes, and then maybe do a bit darker where it goes in. So you can see it's sort of happening here. And don't be afraid to sort of leave gaps where it'd be really, really light, like here. I sort of left gaps and done tiny little marks, and then when it's much heavier, so if I get a B pencil here, it's much, much heavier. So you can work into it and do much darker marks. And if you want to, you can work into it even further with a darker pencil. So you really want to kind of build up a sense of movement as well. So don't do straight lines, do curves, look at how the fur is. Every animal is different as well, so it really helps to have a good look at the fur. I've drawn a lot of bear fur, so a lot of my fur ends up looking quite similar to a bear. But when you start going in the direction of the body of the animal, it starts to make the animal look more the shape that it is. So when it goes over the brow here, it's going to start to look more like the shape of the back. And you can see here you've got kind of the bone of the animal, so you're going to go darker behind here with the fur that brings out that kind of shape here. And the tail is really, really fluffy. So as we're kind of doing short hair around the face here, so you see it's really short around the nose where the whiskers come out, which I'll add the whiskers at the end just so you know. And here it's going to be much longer. And I've again drawn really, really faint lines in the direction that the fur goes on here. And when I come to the end, I also kind of pick up the edges with a darker one as well, just to make it pop out. And the background is going to be sort of hazy. So I've worked into that, and I would normally do a background sort of first and then come into the main part and then go back into the background. I leave sort of a white line around the edge as well to leave things to pop out. This is going to be a branch that it'll be sat on, but I'm leaving this to the end. I usually start with the eye as well before I do the fur, because if the eye is not right, then the rest of it won't go right, and then I'll get really annoyed with it. So I always do the eye to make sure I get that right first, and then do the fur. But it gets kind of tedious doing the fur, but you can go into a bit of a trance with it. So up here, the fur's a little bit shorter and it's further away, so it's going to be a little bit smaller. It's very nervy doing this live. What I usually do as well is, I'm a bit blind from doing all this drawing, so you do a bit and then I put my glasses on and I step back and I'll have a good look at it to make sure it's right. And a really good tip is hold your drawings up into a mirror as well, and when you see them back to front, you can see if anything looks a little bit odd. And you'll see that I haven't done this ear here yet because this is really fleshy, so it's going to be much smoother. So I'm leaving that until I've done the fur, and then I'll add the fur around here, so it's got really white fur and then dark around here. I hope you're enjoying my Michael Jackson glove. So because you've got undershading here as well, when you leave little gaps with pencil, you're going to get kind of darker bits and lighter bits where you've shaded. So it's really, really good to do a bit of undershading as well. It's really, really dark around here, and we've got some kind of wispy bits coming out. So what we'll do is we'll work into it and give it that definition around here as well. There isn't a quick solution to this either. There's not a, oh, you can do this section in 5 minutes by doing this quick solution. I don't have any quick techniques. I don't have quick fixes for this. It is a really slow job. So my pencil's starting to get blunt now. And I know when you're shading, I've said it's really good to use a blunt pencil, but when you're doing fur, it's very, very handy to have a sharp one. I'm going to go back with a H actually a little bit and do some of this. So you see it's kind of coming lighter here and it joins back down, so it's darker here, but this fur joins on the top here, so we can start to bring this down here a little bit too. And then if you've got kind of darker bits, and you can go in and you can pick little bits up like this and work into it. Like that. Hopefully this is making a little bit of... Yes, it is Nils Frahm. I can't really see what everybody's saying because I'm too busy drawing, but yes, it's Nils Frahm that I'm listening to, the German, I don't know, instrumentalist, jazz musician, crazy composer man. Let's call him that. Yeah, it's Nils Frahm I'm listening to. It's nice and relaxing for drawing when the world is absolutely crazy at the moment. I hope everybody is okay out there. I am on nearly a month in isolation now, and the only people I've really seen is the supermarket workers. I'm really missing my family and my friends. So the fur kind of comes down here, so I'll make tiny little marks to say, right, it needs to come down in this direction here. So I know that that's the way it goes. Because sometimes you get a little bit lost in when you're drawing, sort of lose direction a little bit. So then we'll start to work in that way. And so the fur's coming down here. Probably looks a bit rubbish at first when you make a mark, but then you start to build it up and you see this, and it's nice kind of, you've got bits that catch the light when you have little white bits, and then you can start to go in with darker pencils all the time and work into it. It is really slow way of doing it, but I promise it works. I've been doing it for 12 years now, I think. I've been drawing like this, maybe longer. It's obviously got better if you look at my terrible old drawings. So I've used a H to do this bit and a B to do this bit, and I'll probably use a HB here. It's not the biggest amount of difference, but it just, I don't know if it's psychological with me, but it does seem to work. So I've kind of shaded it darker here, so I'll probably use the H up to this bit where it's a little bit lighter, and then use the HB here to work it into here. And then once the whole Pie Martin's done, I'll probably go around the edges with a much heavier B. So maybe a 2B and then maybe even something like a 6B, but you've got to be careful with a 6B because it's really soft. So it's sometimes really hard to pick up the detail, but that would be something I would do at the end of the drawing to do it. I think that's probably all I'm going to show you, because last time I did a video, it timed out and it was too long and Instagram deleted it and wouldn't let me upload it. But hopefully that gives you a little idea of how I draw fur.